Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Welcome to this presentation of the American Dream. I recently had a fascinating conversation with President Trump in Florida about his plans for the second term. And over the next few minutes, we're going to talk about how President Trump plans to launch what he calls the most extraordinary economic boom the world has ever seen. What you are about to learn could completely transform America and your own life for the better. Could bring about a stunning resurgence of the American dream, rewarding millions of Americans along the way. We are witnessing a very special moment in American history. Think about this. Donald Trump's first term was already a strong economic success. We saw low unemployment for all Americans. We saw a booming stock market and economy. We saw low interest rates, cheap energy. 8 million of us became millionaires during Trump's first term. But what's coming now in the second term could be bigger. Joining me today, Alexander Green, Chief Investment Strategist at the Oxford Club. He's one of my most trusted financial advisors. Alex predicts Trump's second term will bring about the rebirth of the American dream and could create 20 million new millionaires. That's not a typo. 20 million new millionaires. Over 13,000 millionaires per day. Alex, that's a bold claim. What makes you so confident?
Well, Bill, we're at the beginning of a complete transformation of the American economy, in my view. Most people don't realize this yet, but Trump is following a 100-year-old economic blueprint that created the greatest period of prosperity in American history. The original Roaring '20s, a period when the unemployment rate fell to 1.8%, the number of millionaires grew by over 2,000%, U.S. manufacturing jumped 40%, corporate profits soared by 62%, and the stock market returned a stunning 265%. But here's what's really interesting, Bill. This all happened without inflation, without deficit spending, without out-of-control money printing. Instead, it was a period of massive tax cuts, budget surpluses, and immense wealth. And this is the plan that Trump is implementing now. And I believe will bring about the greatest rebirth of the American dream in history.
You know what's amazing about this? The mainstream media does not tell that story. They want us to believe, some of them anyway, the exact opposite.
That's so right, Bill. Take a look at these headlines. American dream, far from reality for most people, says ABC News. The American dream is dying, according to the Washington Post. The American dream is to leave America, CNN says. They're too busy pushing their narrative of American decline. But smart people, the ones who actually understand markets and economics, they're positioning themselves now. Mark Andreessen, the billionaire tech investor, says the entire country feels like it's being powered back up. Jeremy Siegel, professor emeritus of finance at Wharton and WisdomTree's chief economist, he says Trump is the most pro-stock market president we've had in our history. And even world-famous hedge fund manager Bill Ackman loves Trump.
Wasn't Ackman, Alex, a true blue Democrat until Joe Biden took office?
That's completely right. Being a smart guy, he's seen the light. And here's what he says. We're stepping into, I would say, the most pro-growth, pro-business, pro-American administration perhaps seen in my adult lifetime. I'm more optimistic about the economy of the country than in a very long time. The smartest people in the room are betting that Trump will create an economic boom like we've never seen. Lower costs for Americans, tax cuts, cheaper energy, dramatically reduced waste in government, the immense growth of technology. Most importantly, thanks to one secret power Trump is tapping into, our economy will expand faster than ever without triggering inflation. It's all thanks to a piece of American technology in this box, and it's at the heart of Trump's plan to boost productivity without triggering inflation. This technology is going to drive an entire shift to American-made products and American-made innovation. And I'll show you what's inside in a minute.
So you believe it's part of Donald Trump's plan to create 20 million new millionaires?
Yeah, it's a huge part of it, Bill, and combined with Trump's pro-business policies, it could change the financial fortunes of everyone watching. Look at what happened during Trump's first term. 8 million Americans became millionaires, but that was with constant resistance from Democrats and even some Republicans in his own cabinet. We were fighting headwinds. The Fed was raising rates, Democrats controlled Congress for 2 years, and of course, we had the COVID crisis. But despite all that, the market soared and millions of Americans prospered. So this time, everything is aligned for even greater growth. Trump's second term will be radically different from his first. Republicans control both houses. The Fed is cutting rates. Trump has surrounded himself with some of the most capable people in America.
And I was just in a meeting with a lot of these guys. I don't think they were happy to see me, but they're smart guys. And when Donald Trump was in Mar-a-Lago in the run-up to him taking the presidency over on January 20th, he talked to hundreds of experts all over, and one of them was me. So I got summoned to come down to Mar-a-Lago. And when an American president says, hey, can you come down and talk to me? You say, yeah, unless you want to be deported to Albania. So I've done it 4 times, by the way. 4 different presidents have asked for my advice. I don't know why, but I had a fascinating conversation. I can tell you that 8 years ago, Donald Trump really didn't know what he was looking at when he entered the Oval Office in 2017. How could he? He was a businessman, a real estate guy, and he's now the most powerful man in the world running this enormous apparatus. So it took him about a year and a half to figure it out. He leaned on people for advice, and some of the advice was good, but some of it wasn't. But now that's gone. So he knows exactly what he wants to do. He's picked a pretty interesting crew to help him. And I came away after meeting with the president and 6 of his guys, they were all guys, heavy economics, okay? I came away saying this guy is really prepared, and economics is his number 1, let's say, motivation. He's going to close the border. He's going to do all that. He knows he has to. But economics is really what he's laser focused on and delivering his campaign promises. And he's bringing in a cabinet of ultra-successful business leaders instead of Washington insiders. And those people understand one crucial thing, that the government needs to get out of the way and let American innovation flourish. As President Reagan said, quote, government is not the solution, government is the problem.
Right, and that's exactly why Trump's cabinet picks are so important this time. These aren't career bureaucrats or Washington insiders. They're successful business leaders, entrepreneurs, common sense capitalists who've accomplished great things in their lives. They will help lead us to real change that will return America to its free market roots. We're seeing technological breakthroughs that will transform our economy, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, breakthrough medical treatments, new energy technologies. American companies are leading in every single one of these fields, and Trump will unleash American business from unfair regulations, crippling taxes, and big government intervention.
Now, many believe, and I'm one of them, that the opposite happened during Joe Biden's presidency. So we're leaving what some describe as an age of disaster, 36% job approval rating. Only Richard Nixon in modern times left office with a lower job approval than Joe Biden. So progressive policies hurt him. And if you look at the California wildfire situation, I mean, my God, you cannot run a state or federal government without discipline and focus. Now, I think we saw more regulations filed against American businesses by the Biden administration than any other in history, even more than Barack Obama. These regulations made it more difficult for businesses, it drove up prices for consumers, and it made it nearly impossible for small business to compete in some areas, which is part of the reason inflation exploded.
I agree, and President Trump himself has said that for many decades, an ever-growing maze of regulations, rules, and restrictions has cost the country trillions and trillions of dollars, millions of jobs, countless American factories, and devastated many industries. But Trump has already laid out his plan to eliminate these regulations. His 10-for-1 executive order means that for every new regulation, 10 outdated ones must be eliminated. So based on our research, it could unlock up to $8.4 trillion in economic growth over the next 4 years. And that's just from cutting regulations. When you add in his other initiatives, making the 2017 tax cuts permanent, launching an American energy revolution, creating new opportunity zones, eliminating taxes on Social Security, and so much more, the potential impact is staggering. And Naval Ravikant, founder of AngelList, an early angel investor in Uber, says it will create an economic sonic boom. And I believe we're about to see the greatest stock market boom in American history, a new wave of technological breakthroughs, and the creation of more millionaires than any time in history.
You know, Alex, I've known Donald Trump for 35 years, and he occasionally calls me to yell at me, you know, when I say something he doesn't like, which I have. But I can tell you, he wants his term to cement his legacy as one of the great presidents in American history. He wants to be up there with the Mount Rushmore guys. In fact, he may buy a mountain and put his own face on it.
It's in Greenland.
And he wants to be a president who makes it possible for millions of Americans to achieve real prosperity, security, financial security. So Donald Trump says, and I quote, "We're going to bring back the American dream, and we're going to have America bigger, better, bolder, richer, safer, and stronger than ever before," unquote. Now, that's a campaign thing. We all know that. But it's also a great opportunity if you can execute it. And if you have a track record of helping Americans prosper during Trump's first time around, which he does. That's why he won the second term, because people said, hey, when he was there, it was a lot better than what Biden is doing. It was this simple equation. Now, the last time Donald Trump was in office, you and I launched the Great American Wealth Project, very successful. You recommended your number one stock in America. Tell our viewers what happened.
Well, Bill, that stock was Marvell Technology, and it's absolutely soared since then. It's up 387% since we held that event, even though we've had 2 bear markets in the interim. That's nearly 3 times higher than the NASDAQ and 4 times higher than the S&P 500 over the same period. And I think the outlook for Marvell is still strong. As you know, we still hold it in our 10 baggers of tomorrow portfolio. And the ticker symbol is MRVL, if our audience wants to take a look at it. But Bill, I believe the opportunities in Trump's second term could be so much bigger. Today I'm going to give everyone watching the names and ticker symbols of 3 specific Trump trades. And together, these stocks could help everyday Americans increase their wealth dramatically during his second term.
And let's be clear for everybody watching, you're giving them away free.
Yeah, completely free of charge. These are all America First companies that I expect will thrive under the Trump economy. Not just thrive. I expect these companies to positively explode higher during Trump's second term. And I believe these could make Marvell's gains look small by comparison. However, that's just the start of what we have planned in this program. I'm also going to reveal my most important prediction for Trump's presidency yet. One that I'm confident you won't hear on TV or in any mainstream media source. And this prediction, I believe, is going to send 3 specific investments soaring as high as 20-fold by the end of his second term. In short, make the right moves now and you have the chance to achieve the American dream.
But here's what's crucial for everybody watching. You have to take the action to benefit from this historic opportunity. You got to move on it. Now, this isn't the version of the American dream that some on the left have, where you can sit back and collect a check from the government. It's important to realize the American dream for us is not an entitlement, not a handout. You don't go to a government office to collect your dream. It's something that you achieve by discipline and intelligence. Succeeding economically is about working hard, recognizing opportunity when it comes along, and being smart and disciplined. And you know, I didn't start with anything. I was broke when I got out of Boston University with a journalism degree. And I had to go to Scranton, Pennsylvania to work for $150 a week. I was lucky I wasn't living under a bridge. But my parents told me something important. They said, you can succeed in life even though you're obnoxious, okay? My parents knew, but that was it. There wasn't any grand plan. It was, you can succeed if you're honest, you work hard, and persistent. And of course they were right. Because in America, if you're willing to put in the effort and be smart, you can still, with nothing to build on, no uncle in the business, no inheritance, you can still achieve wealth and happiness.
I fully agree, Bill. It's possible for anyone to achieve the American dream. Dr. Thomas Stanley, who spent his life studying America's millionaires, found that 85% built their own fortunes. No inheritance, no special connections. People typically assume that most millionaires are business owners. After all, you can't get rich working for somebody else, right? Not necessarily so. Stanley discovered that 72% of millionaires in this country do not own a business and are not self-employed. The millionaires I've studied take radical responsibility for their own lives and for their success, and they take ownership of their financial future.
So folks, with President Trump's policies increasing the likelihood, no guarantees, but the likelihood of American prosperity, there's never been a better time to start building real wealth. But of course, you need a guide. So to succeed in today's America, you need guidance from someone who can show you which opportunities are lucrative or could be lucrative. There's always a risk. That's why I'm here with Alex today. For 20 years, I've watched him help everyday Americans build wealth. Not through the get-rich stuff or risky investments, but by investing in great American companies that are established. Now, Alex, I've personally followed your work since 2004. I actually pay for the newsletter. They don't give it to me free.
We do appreciate that.
Okay? And the very first stock I bought that you recommended was Berkshire B. Still have it. And it's been a big winner.
Yeah. It's still in our all-star portfolio today, Bill. As you know, it's up nearly 1,000% since I recommended it back in 2001.
Yeah, it was a great investment and put a lot of cash into my pocket.
Thank you, Bill. That's right.
Folks, Alex Green has been very early on a lot of great stocks. Any other examples you want to give us today?
I do, Bill. I first spotted NVIDIA in 2004 when it was trading for less than $1 a share, split adjusted, and I told my subscribers, including you, NVIDIA is now selling chips so powerful that current hardware and gaming software can't even exploit the technology yet. And following my guidance, our subscribers would have doubled their money in under 5 months. And if they held on to it, they watched it become one of the all-time great stocks. Since 2004, it's now up over 109,000%. That would have turned just $1,000 into more than $1 million. And Oxford has called 4 out of the 6 best performing stocks of the past 20 years: Apple, Netflix, Intuitive Surgical, and NVIDIA.
That's why when you recommend a stock, I listen. And in a moment, you're going to give everyone, Alex, free, again, free, the name and ticker symbol of the top 3 Trump trades, in your opinion, in which to invest now.
Yep, you're correct. These are all America First companies that I expect will thrive under the new Trump economy. And in a moment, I'm going to give everyone the name and ticker symbol of my top 3 Trump trades to invest in now, free of charge. Plus, I'm going to give my most important prediction for Trump's presidency, which could send 3 investments up 20-fold or more by the end of his term. In short, make the right moves now and you have the chance to achieve your own American dream.
And Alex, you believe investing in individual stocks is better than investing in an index fund, right?
Well, now more than ever, Bill, because right now just 10 stocks make up over 35% of the S&P 500 and the index funds that replicate it. So mega cap stocks like Google and Apple and Microsoft, when you invest in an index fund, stocks like these are the ones that drive your returns. But there are hundreds of innovative American stocks that are trading at far better valuations today. And these are where I believe the most money will be made during Trump's second presidency.
So let's cut to the chase then, Alex. Our viewers want to know, how do Trump's policies translate into real money-making opportunities?
Okay, well, Bill, if you look at the top-performing stocks in his first term, they weren't the largest well-known stocks that dominate the index funds today. The best companies were under the radar at the time. Like, for example, Celsius, a company I told a group of our readers about right after Trump took power in 2017. It jumped about 1,400% by 2021. Etsy returned more than 1,500%, and Shopify skyrocketed 2,000%. But that was just a preview. Now his second term could dwarf those returns, and here's why, Bill. First, Trump's cutting corporate taxes to 15% and extending his 2017 tax cuts. Companies will be flush with cash and they'll pour money into innovation, hiring, and expansion. And we saw a glimpse of this with his 2017 tax cuts. But this could be many times bigger. And second, he will bring back America's energy independence. And this will help reduce inflation and drive growth higher.
Didn't President Biden do everything possible to tamp down all of that innovation and all of that expansion? Donald Trump is totally different than Joe Biden. Yes. Trump says, quote, "We are going to unleash American energy and drive the prices way down." Do you believe that?
I do believe it. It's going to help solve the inflation mess that the Biden administration got us into. Plus, this might be the biggest, he's slashing regulations. The Competitive Enterprise Institute says federal regulations cost businesses at least $2 trillion per year. Cut those and you unleash trillions of dollars in productive capital. And this capital will help America to grow. And add Elon Musk's $2 trillion efficiency crusade, and we're talking about an economy that is firing on all cylinders. And put these all together, and you have a transformed American economy, bigger growth, stronger corporate profits, higher share prices.
Well, let's hope all that comes true, Alex. And the thing is that running a business under President Biden was like driving with the parking brake on in many cases. Not all, but many cases because of the regulations. You had to do this, you had to do that. But Trump doesn't like regulations. And he says he will bring back the free market roots of capitalism and help all of us, all the citizens in the country, achieve the American dream. That's what many politicians ignore. But Donald Trump is running on that. His legacy depends on that. He knows America is a nation of builders and entrepreneurs because he's one. It's in our DNA. From Henry Ford to Steve Jobs to Elon Musk, we've always led the world in innovation. It's common sense. Americans thrive under freedom. Freedom from taxes, freedom from big government, freedom from pinheads telling us what to do.
Yeah, I agree. Let's look at the numbers, Bill. We're just 4.2% of the world's population, but we produce a quarter of the world's global output. America has 39% of the world's millionaires. 9 of the 10 largest companies in the world are American. Apple alone is more than the entire GDP of the UK. And NVIDIA is bigger than the entire German stock market.
America leads the world in innovation. There's no question about that. And it always has. The telephone, television, airplane, all invented here. Even the internet was created here, right?
That's right, Bill. And the U.S. leads in the technologies of the future as well, like AI, robotics, and quantum computing. And with Trump back in office, Republicans controlling Congress, and transformational technologies hitting all at once, we're not just looking at an economic boom, we're looking at potentially the greatest wealth creation opportunity of our lifetime.
So I look at history, I look at stories. As Alex mentioned, I have 19 #1 best-selling books. And there's one story that perfectly shows me and the country where we're headed. It's about Calvin Coolidge. Remember a silent Cal? President most Americans know little about. He oversaw one of the great booms in American history. What he did in the 1920s is almost identical to Donald Trump's playbook. Both men took office at incredibly challenging times. Before Coolidge was elected, America was reeling from World War I. The debt, the national debt here, had exploded 12-fold. Tax rates hit 73% in the United States. And the country was just emerging from the Spanish flu pandemic.
Right, just like Biden's America, soaring debt, high taxes, and a post-pandemic economy.
But that's when Americans elected Calvin Coolidge, a small government conservative, to fix the problem. Here's what Coolidge did. And pay attention because this is very interesting. It's exactly what Donald Trump wants to do. First, Coolidge slashed taxes, cut the top rate from 73 to 25%. Same time, he kept tariffs high to protect American manufacturers. Second, he drained the so-called swamp in D.C. 6 out of his 10 cabinet members were successful business leaders, millionaires who knew how to create prosperity. As Calvin Coolidge said, the chief business of the American people is business. And Coolidge made it his mission to unleash American business and innovation. Third, he got the government out of the way. His Government Accountability Office, led by military generals, slashed and burned its way through the government bureaucracy in D.C. They cut spending and the regulations let American innovation flourish. The results, stunning. The quality of life soared for everyday Americans. Wages rose, working hours fell. When Calvin Coolidge started, only 1 in 10 Americans owned a car. By the time he left, half of all households had an automobile. Unemployment dropped to just 1.8%. Industrial production soared 70% in 6 years. New construction doubled. U.S. manufacturing jumped 40%. It's the biggest economic boom we have ever seen in America.
Right. The number of millionaires grew by over 2,000%, and the stock market tells the story. Under Coolidge, stocks soared 265%, better than Reagan, better than Clinton, better than any president before or after, and individual stocks did even better, like Radio Corporation of America, RCA, which gave investors a 200-fold return, one of the biggest in stock market history. But here's the important part for our viewers. Coolidge didn't do this with money printing or deficit spending. He actually reduced the national debt from 26% to 16% of GDP and ran a surplus every year of his presidency.
So that's what real prosperity looks like.
Yeah, it is. And it's not artificial stimulus. And it's exactly what Trump understands. I think Trump could match Coolidge's record or even exceed it. And that's why I think it's possible that the Dow could reach 150,000 by the end of Trump's second term.
It's always been the recipe for success in America. Reward the builders, the innovators, the entrepreneurs, and that lifts everybody up. And thanks to our robust stock market, smart investors can own our most successful companies right alongside the people who actually built them.
True, Bill. And what's key here is identifying the companies that are driving technological innovation forward. Just look at what's happened during Trump's first term. Top innovative companies saw their stocks soar higher, like the cloud company Twilio, up over 1,100%. Video streamer Roku returned nearly 1,400%. Mobile payment application Square jumped 1,350%. and software provider RingCentral gained 1,500%. Now we're seeing even bigger innovations happening. AI, quantum computing, robotics, transformative technologies that could create enormous wealth for early investors. And people who invest in them stand to do very well.
And you've told me you're giving our viewers right now the names and ticker symbols of your top 3 stocks for Trump's second term. And that's completely free of charge?
Yeah, yes, but it goes beyond that. I also want to share a plan for achieving the American dream during Trump's second term, including a set of investments that could rise 20-fold or more. And these aren't just any stocks, Bill. Each one is perfectly positioned to benefit from the economic boom that I predict under the Trump presidency.
Okay, so we're going to get to these in a minute. But first, I want to make one thing clear. Stocks carry risk. Everybody knows that, but it has to be said. Not every investment goes up. Not all your picks work out.
Very true.
So investing is never a sure thing. But Alex, I know you have quite a track record picking winners over the years. Help me out. Can you share some examples?
Well, Bill, I learned long ago that an entire portfolio can be won or lost on the success of just a handful of stocks. And I learned that finding great stocks requires recognizing huge innovations the moment they hit the market, and then buying those stocks early. Now, this is key. When new innovations hit, you cannot hesitate or you'll miss out on the biggest gains. For example, I bought Apple stock all the way back in 1996, and at that time, many experts hated the stock. So I got in at less than $1 per share split adjusted. Today, it's up nearly 60,000%, is the #1 best performing stock of the past 20 years. And think about that. Just a $5,000 investment grew to almost $3 million. And that's all it takes, one great stock to achieve the American dream. Or consider NVIDIA. It went public back in 1999, and most people had never heard of the company. Now you hear about it everywhere. It's the #1 stock I hear about. Should I buy NVIDIA? And if you'd bought NVIDIA then, you'd be sitting on more than a 100,000% gain today, enough to turn $1,000 into over a $1 million fortune.
Tesla's another one, right?
Yeah, in the Oxford Communique in April 2013, when Tesla was trading at $2.75, split adjusted, we wrote, investors who want a pure play in the EV space might do well to consider investing in Tesla Motors. You might be able to afford one yourself in a few years just by selling the shares you purchased now. Those shares are up 6,000% since then. That's all it takes, one stock. The BBC says that Tesla's wildly profitable stock created an army of millionaires. And for them, one stock did it all. Now, as you rightly said before, Bill, not every stock's going to be a winner, and all investments carry risk, so you should never invest more than you can stand to lose. But it's a fact. If you find one great company like this, you can become a millionaire faster than you thought possible.
Well, that's why we're here. So let's get down to the meat and potatoes. What companies, Alex, do you think stand to benefit the most during Trump's presidency?
Each of these companies involves the type of technology that's in the box I showed you earlier.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's inside the box?
All right, well, let's open it. This is an NVIDIA AI GPU, the cutting-edge chip driving the AI revolution. This technology represents why Trump's second term could be so transformative, because it's not just another technology. It's more powerful than anything humanity could have imagined. NVIDIA's new GPU contains 208 billion transistors, making it 92 million times more powerful than Intel's original breakthrough 4004 chip. It can make 20 quadrillion calculations per second. That's 500% faster than NVIDIA's current AI chip, and nothing else comes close. And it's producing rapid advances in every industry at a pace never seen in human history. And it's revolutionizing communications and technology companies, manufacturing, medical innovation, robotics, agriculture, quantum computing, and more. And most importantly, It's powering the massive leap forward in AI. Because of chips like these, AI is quite simply becoming a more important innovation than the personal computer, the smartphone, and even the internet. The internet truly impacted every industry, and it completely reshaped our entire world. And artificial intelligence is coming up even faster.
Now, some folks might actually think they're too late to the game. They say the AI train has left, that the gains are already priced in. What do you think of that?
I hear that, Bill, but I disagree. And thanks to brand new chips like this one I just showed you, AI is going to take even bigger leaps forward in the next few years. As Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, says, we're at the beginning of a golden age of AI. We've only scratched the surface of what's possible. And we've seen this playbook before. The closest thing to this AI boom is the internet boom. That lasted for decades, and it's still going on today. And you saw the incredible rise in stocks like Oracle, up 88,000% in 14 years. Dell rose 91,000% in 10 years, and Cisco up 102,000% in just a decade. And these are some of the best performing stocks of our lifetime. Just $1,000 in Cisco would have been worth over $1.2 million in a decade's time. But AI is bigger. A study by McKinsey projects AI will add $25.6 trillion to the global economy every year going forward. It's already created 500,000 new American millionaires. But Mark Andreessen, the famous tech venture capitalist who created the first internet browser and helped start the internet boom, says that Trump will create an AI tech boom in the US that's going to be spectacular.
So President Trump is a big champion of AI, right?
He is, Bill. He made big news with the $100 billion investment in American AI companies from SoftBank. And Trump said that they would create 100,000 new jobs for US citizens. He's even appointed an AI czar, David Sachs, a billionaire high-tech entrepreneur and venture capitalist. Trump realizes that growth comes from the private sector, innovative Americans, not the government. So when you combine a technological revolution with business-friendly policies, it's a perfect storm for wealth creation.
AI is going to be big, all right? Now, I don't know anything about AI. I can barely put gas in my car, all right? But I know enough to see that that's the future of how the world is going to work, all right? So let's get specific. Tell us your top 3 companies to invest in right now.
Okay, I'm going to start with my top 3 mainstream investment for Trump's second term. And from there, we'll get into my higher upside plays that I think have 20x potential by the end of Trump's second term. Now, you might be familiar with my first company, Bill. I recommended it to you and other readers in 2024. It's a company founded by Peter Thiel, a Trump supporter and tech billionaire who co-founded PayPal with Elon Musk. Its name is Palantir, and the ticker symbol is PLTR.
You recommended this stock last year, as I recall, right? You were ahead of the curve, obviously, but is there more upside on this going forward?
I do believe there is, Bill. This company rates as the world's #1 software vendor for AI, data science, and machine learning. Its clients include world beaters like BP, ExxonMobil, United Airlines, Morgan Stanley, Merck, and more. And their biggest customer is the US government. 4 years ago, the company had just 14 commercial customers. Now, they have nearly 300. As the CEO says, it's been driven by an unrelenting wave of demand from customers for artificial intelligence. And he says, we see an unprecedented opportunity ahead. In the last year alone, operating income jumped roughly 145%, and this growth is accelerating just as AI adoption takes off. So this is the perfect time to get in a stock like this, and I expect the stock will jump dramatically.
Okay, that's Alex's first pick, Palantir, PLTR. Alex, let's move on to your second trade. What have you got?
My next pick is an industry that I believe will be as revolutionary as Henry Ford's assembly line that kicked off the Roaring '20s in America a century ago. And I'm talking about robotics. I believe we're about to see a robotics revolution across the globe, one that could jumpstart a new manufacturing boom that we haven't seen in a century. The world's richest entrepreneurs are jumping in now. Jeff Bezos just invested into robotics. Bill Gates' $3.5 billion investment fund is backing several robotics companies, and he says that the uses for robots will be almost limitless. Elon Musk says robots will be the biggest product ever of any kind.
Sounds like some big money's going into this robotic stuff. Alex, robotics have been around for a while. Why are people like Musk getting in now?
Because, Bill, AI is boosting the capabilities of robots at a scale that we haven't seen before. Jensen Huang, the founder and CEO of NVIDIA, says robots are the next wave of AI. So if you missed NVIDIA's incredible rise during the first phase of AI, this is your chance to get on the next phase that's right at our doorstep. And it couldn't come at a better time. Right now, there's a 50% deficit in demand for manufacturing jobs available in the US. Imagine, half of all manufacturing jobs aren't getting filled. And Bill, you know better than anybody that Trump wants to bring back Made in America.
When I was speaking to the president and his advisors, the tariffs were big.
Right.
And most Americans don't understand what this is. What Trump wants is for companies like Apple to bring this stuff back.
Right.
He's
onshoring.
He's crazed that Apple is making so much stuff in China.
Right.
Okay, that's huge.
Right.
And he wants, rather than money flowing out of the United States, because we buy, 30% of what the other country, our trade partner, buys from us.
Right.
But he wants to even it up a little bit, right, so that there are more job opportunities, more tax revenue, right, to pay down this unbelievable debt.
The tariffs are designed to get more American companies to make their stuff in the US. Trump wants it back here.
Exactly, he said that right to me.
Yeah, and as Trump brings manufacturing back to the US, American businesses will need robotics to help. But I found a company that's solving this problem. It's called Teradyne, and the ticker symbol is TER. It's created a new type of robot called a collaborative robot, or cobot for short. And they work alongside humans rather than simply replacing them. And it's partnered with NVIDIA to bring the power of its AI chips to its cobots. Thanks to the ultra-powerful chips, these cobots work in industrial manufacturing and shipping facilities to make production faster and more efficient. The company has deployed more than 80,000 advanced robotic systems worldwide, and they own 34% of the cobot market. And what they do helps all of us. More efficient manufacturing leads to more supply, lower prices, higher profits. It's good for the economy across the board. And what's particularly great is that these cobots enhance worker productivity rather than replacing workers outright.
That's important, Alex. So I'm glad you brought it up. When I think about robotics, I worry robots will simply replace existing jobs, and that'll actually hurt Americans.
Yeah, that's a valid concern. But I believe that, like Henry Ford's assembly line, these robots will help workers become more productive and enhance jobs. This isn't about replacing American workers, it's about making American manufacturing competitive again. And it's about making the average worker more productive and making better products here in America at lower prices. And this robotics company is at the forefront of this revolution. It partnered with NVIDIA to bring the power of its AI chips to its cobots. And I believe it's by far the best way to play the next stage in the AI revolution.
Okay, let's hear about the third pick.
Okay, my third pick also relates to AI and the massive amount of energy it uses. For example, ChatGPT uses enough power to run 180,000 American homes every single day, just from one AI service. The Washington Post just did a story on this. They found that artificial intelligence, data centers, and the boom in clean tech manufacturing are pushing America's aging power grid to the brink.
Hasn't this been a big problem for a while, Alex?
It has, Bill, and politicians like Biden shut down energy production and did nothing to rebuild our infrastructure. A big shortfall in electricity is coming, and Trump is fully aware of the problem. He said recently, AI is going to be a big thing, but you'll need double the electricity at least that we have right now, and he has a plan. He knows the U.S. has more energy than anybody else, huge energy reserves, bigger than Saudi Arabia, Russia, or anyone else, and Trump is tapping into it. The United States possesses vast reserves of natural gas, almost 3,000 trillion cubic feet of it. That's enough to fill the Grand Canyon 20 times over, more than we need to fuel the AI boom in the US. So you have the perfect setup for a big run in natural gas, and I have a great way to play it. It's an energy company that powers America's AI future. The company is called the Williams Companies. The ticker symbol is WMB. They own a vast network of more than 30,000 miles of pipelines and facilities. They move natural gas from everywhere, from, say, Oklahoma to the ports in Houston. And get this, they handle 30% of the natural gas that we use every single day in this country. So they're already reporting record earnings, and its dividend is nearly triple the yield of the average stock in the S&P.
You know, your analysis makes sense to me, and that's frightening me right now. I'm sure our audience appreciates that you're giving them recommendations that are usually reserved for people like me who pay for your services. But Alex, one of the reasons I follow your work is I know you're always tracking these companies, sending me updates, letting me know when it's time to get out to take profits. So before we get to your next three plays with the most upside, can you tell our audience how to get your full breakdown of these three Trump trades?
Happy to, Bill. I've prepared special reports that include the names and ticker symbols of these stocks and easy to follow buy now instructions. And their first report is how to play the boom of both AI and the defense industry. It's called the Next AI Superstock, Defending America. The second is my favorite way to invest in the new cobot technology, and it's called Made in America, How to Profit from the Robotics Revolution. And the third is my top stock for the rise in U.S. energy. It's called America's Energy Surge, Powering the AI Century.
So we're going to tell you how to get these reports, and also my book, Confronting the Presidents, free. That is coming up. But first, Alex, you say you have something even bigger to share.
Yes, Bill. While my first three Trump trades are strong, there's an even bigger opportunity happening right now. It's a market anomaly I've seen only once in my lifetime. Right now, there's a historic valuation gap between small companies and large ones. In short, small cap stocks are cheaper relative to large caps than at any time this century. The last time this happened, back in 2001, many small caps became some of the biggest winners in stock market history, like Middleby, which jumped over 13,800%, Tractor Supply, which skyrocketed nearly 50,000%, and Monster Beverage, which rose 125,000%. So you'd see some incredible gains in your portfolio today had you invested in small caps then. And now the folks watching have a second chance to get on the small cap revolution while investing in innovative American companies.
Supporting smaller businesses is a big part of Donald Trump's economic plan, right?
It is. He promises massive tax cuts for workers and small businesses. Almost 90% of business owners were optimistic about the future following Trump's election, and 85% believe that Trump will improve the economic situation for small businesses. And history says they're right. During Trump's first term, small cap stocks rocketed higher. For example, Trade Desk jumped over 2,500%, Digital Turbine soared over 8,000%, and Enphase Energy returned 9,700%. And that's why today I've also found three small stocks that I believe have the upside to rise 20-fold by the end of Trump's term. The first is a cutting-edge AI company that could build the fastest cloud computing network in the world using a technology protected by 162 patents. It connects people to AI applications 9 times faster than their competitors, and despite being a small cap company, they've already banked America's biggest companies as clients, including Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and SpaceX. At just $10 per share, they're positioned to capitalize on the growing demand for lightning-fast AI responses. The second is a pioneering medical robotics firm that's developed a revolutionary surgical system using high-pressure water instead of scalpels. Right now, it's treating a huge prostate issue called BPH. 50% of men between 51 and 60 have BPH, rising to 90% by age 85, and this company can treat it with minimal to no side effects. Already, their revenue is surging 66% year over year, but I see even bigger growth ahead. This company reminds me of Intuitive Surgical, a medical device company I recommended in 2004 for 300% gains in under 2 years. It became the 4th best performing stock of the last 20 years, rising 200-fold. And the third is a different kind of energy company. This company collects royalty payments from some of the biggest and most productive oil fields in the nation, generating $160 million annually without operating a single oil well. And unlike most stocks, investors become partners in the business, receiving guaranteed profits from its revenues, which they've doubled in the past 5 years with a substantial 95% gross profit margin. That's why they pay a massive 10% yield to investors.
Again, all stocks have risks, but aren't small companies even riskier?
Bill, that's true, especially if you're targeting penny stocks. But that's why it's important to target strong companies with great management, growing sales, and solid businesses. Because they're small, they have far more room to grow into the next big business.
Now, Alex, I understand why these stocks are different from our first 3 picks. Such a huge audience watching. You have to be careful recommending smaller companies, right?
That's true. These opportunities simply can't go out to millions of viewers. They're reserved for our paying readers, like you, Bill. And today I've put all the details in a special report, The Ultimate Trump Trades, 3 little-known ways to ride the small cap boom. And it's available to anyone who subscribes today. But I want to make something clear. If you want to act on these, you need to act quickly. Trump is moving fast to boost the American economy, and as he cuts taxes, deregulates, and brings money back to America's shores, you know that the first movers and the biggest movers will be the small stocks.
And here's something crucial to understand for everybody. It is easy to buy a stock, but knowing when to sell that stock or buy more, that's the hard part. This isn't like Vegas where you put a chip on red. You need a smart, disciplined approach, and that's what Alex Green provides. It's why I have followed him for the past 20 years. But here's what our viewers want to know right now, Alex. I've said many times I'm not an investing guy. I know the basics, but I'm not a master at stock picking. I lean on people like you. So for our viewers who are not investing masters just yet, how can you help them?
Well, at the Oxford Club, we have members at all financial levels. Our goal is to create the tools needed to ensure that everyone is successful. And that's why we created the video series, 3 Steps to a 7-Figure Portfolio. It lays out our entire wealth building strategy. It shows you the easiest way to buy your first stock, gives paint by numbers portfolio instructions, gets you up and running quickly.
You know, Alex, I think your mission is to educate, and it's very important. It's often been said that the best things in life are free. And that's true to some extent, but it's not the whole story. That's why every man and woman in this country should strive to achieve some level of financial freedom.
I agree. And America mints 1,917 newfound millionaires every day, 365 days a year. And my goal is to add to that list. And I've actually succeeded based on some of the best feedback that I've received from readers, like David Mason. He started with $200,000 over 20 years ago, but following my recommendations, he's now at $3.5 million with roughly $125,000 in dividends annually. Or Pat Douglas. He started with $150,000, but over 10 years, he grew it to well over $3 million. And here's one more. In 2004, I wrote about Intuitive Surgical, the fourth best performing stock of the last 20 years, and I said, overwhelming upside potential, a growth stock on steroids. And just 2 years later, my readers booked a 309% gain. And since then, the stock has soared 20,000% and become one of the best performing stocks of the past 20 years. A $5,000 investment would be worth over $1 million today. One of my readers, Sean Connors, said he made $1.2 million on that pick alone.
Well, he should take us out to dinner, Alex. Okay?
He should.
And you've helped a lot of people over the years, including me. I've been reading Alex's work since 2003. So Green's research is clear, concise, easy to follow, and everything is manageable. That's very important to me because I'm really busy and I'm not a math whiz. So let me tell you a personal story about how I discovered it and why I came to be a big believer in Alex and his publication, The Oxford Communique. When I started investing many years ago, I didn't have a big portfolio, but I was determined to save as much as I could and then buy more stocks, all right, so that my retirement would be secure. 10% here, 10% there. Every paycheck, I saved money. That's what my father suggested, and I followed it, much to his surprise. As I started making bigger money, I had trouble finding investment experts I could trust. And I heard about Alex Green, I think it was 2003. What I liked about him, first of all, is that he kept the recommendations manageable. I could understand them. Now, I've made a great deal of money following Alex's pick, especially that Berg B play. That was a home run. But now, Alex, you are not always right.
It's important to be more right than wrong. That's what I try to do.
That's exactly it. And what you've done for my own finances and for the portfolios of many other Americans is unlike anything that I've seen. That's why I'm here today. I want to share my experience with as many folks as possible because I want to see hardworking Americans achieve that dream. So how can our viewers right now get your next stock picks and follow your recommendations?
Well, Bill, I alert my readers to every single recommendation in my monthly publication, the Oxford Communique. And this is where we're going to be actively taking advantage of the Trump economic boom over the next 4 years. The goals of the communique are simple and straightforward. I aim to help readers maximize their income, minimize taxes, at least double the broad market's return, minimize market risk, and live a financially free life without money, worries, and concerns. My philosophy is simple when it comes to investing. I find a select few stocks that I believe can truly make a difference in people's lives, companies that are truly changing our world by inventing new products, gaining worldwide market share, and increasing revenue quarter after quarter after quarter. Companies like this can deliver impressive gains. And I'll tell you which new stock to buy each month in each new issue of my communique.
And along with everything else we promise, you're giving all of our viewers a trial in a communique, is that right?
That's absolutely correct, Bill. I want everyone to get the chance to achieve the American dream no matter what their starting point is.
So this is a good deal. This is one of those things that I like about Alex. There are things that I don't like, but I'm not telling you what they are. But Green gives people a real chance to see how his recommendations play out. There's no subterfuge, right?
Thank you, Bill. That's right. New members receive a 365-day money-back guarantee when they subscribe to my Oxford Communique. Along with it, you get my 3-part video series, 3 steps to a 7-figure portfolio, as well as my special reports that I mentioned earlier, the next AI Superstock, Defending America, Made in America, How to Profit from the Robotics Revolution, and America's Energy Surge, Powering the AI Century. And of course, The Ultimate Trump Trades, 3 little-known ways to ride the small cap boom. Plus, I'm going to give folks Bill's brand new book, Confronting the Presidents, free.
Free?
Yeah.
Excellent deal, right? You'll like the book. And it's an important book if you really want to know how this country runs. So we are living in an era when so much of our history is being revised, censored, ignored, especially in our schools and universities. We all know that. So I wrote the book out of frustration and a desire to set the record straight for all Americans. Every president is included. In Confronting the Presidents, I shine a spotlight on each of our chief executives from George Washington all the way up to Joe Biden. It's a simple concept because I am, above all, a simple man. I broke it down to 45 chapters for 45 men. You learn who they are, what good they did, and what they did poorly. And then I let the reader assess or rank the presidents the way they want. You will discover which of our presidents best served America and which chief executives undermined our ideals. No ideology in the book at all, just facts. Every page will tell you something you didn't know. Fun to read, and 18 weeks and counting on the New York Times bestseller list. So when you take Alex up, and you really should, on his trial in a communique, you'll get a hardback copy of Confronting the Presidents, along with everything else you see on your screen.
But Bill, I've got to ask you, how would you rank Trump?
Not decided yet. He has to do what he promised to do. And I'm going to cover him fairly. As you know, that's what we do. But at this point, and I said this directly to the president a few weeks ago, he has a unique pathway in our history to improve the lives of working Americans. And we're part of that, you and me. We are part of that pathway. And you can see my full opinion in the book on Donald Trump. I've written an essay on both him and Joe Biden. Provocative, but it's there.
Do you have anything else to add, Bill?
Well, I'm glad we had a chance to do this again, to talk, Alex, because I want everyone to know that I asked Green to give our viewers right now the best deal the Oxford Club has ever given. And as you will see, we're talking about getting you started with Alex's prize newsletter for less than $1 a week, $1. And when you start Alex's 365-day trial, you will also get my book for free as a bonus. And if you don't like my book, you can come to my house and yell at me. All right? But it's a good book. You'll like it. And Alex's communique is absolutely worth your time. And I wouldn't be here today telling you about it. You know me, unless I was happy being an Oxford Club member for the past 20 years. So, with Donald Trump's second term underway, I believe this is a unique time to take advantage of smart investing. You're not going to find a better deal than this anywhere else. Alex, before we wrap up, I want to make sure our viewers get everything they need to achieve the American dream during Donald Trump's presidency. You have shared some incredible opportunities today.
That's right, Bill. What we've discussed could truly change your financial future forever. As Bill said, I want to offer the best deal we can possibly give on everything promised today, including a 1-year subscription to the Oxford Communique, which includes my top stock recommendations each month, hardback copy of Confronting the Presidents by Bill O'Reilly, 3 Steps to a 7-Figure Portfolio video series, the next AI Superstock, Defending America, Made in America, How to Profit from the Robotics Revolution, America's Energy Surge, Powering the AI Century, and The Ultimate Trump Trades, 3 little-known ways to ride the small cap boom. Momentarily, you're going to see a button pop up beneath this video. It'll say, yes, I want the American dream. And when you see it, click it. You've heard from people who've become millionaires just by following my recommendations in the communique. I hope to hear a similar story from you. With a 1-year communique subscription, you'll get 24/7, 365 access to the Oxford Trading Portfolio, password-protected access to the Oxford Club website, weekly model portfolio updates, Oxford Insight issues 4 times a week, access to the Oxfordian Hotel Collection where you can receive special discounts on luxurious hotels around the world, VIP invitations to attend conferences at 5-star locations. Every member of the Oxford Communique also gets premier access to our virtual club room. This is where I go live every week to discuss the most important investment ideas for that week. And we'll talk about the stocks we love, what's going on with the broad market, Fed moves, new technologies, and more. Best of all, in the club room, we can help you keep track of the progress of all the stocks I talked about today. So this gives you a chance to hear straight from me what's going on in the markets. For example, one of the first sessions we did in Club Room when we launched it was on small cap investing. I walked our members through my small cap strategy, and then I gave them all my favorite small cap at the time, Rover. The very next day, Blackstone released news that it would acquire Rover, and the stock jumped 29% in a single day. The great thing was, thanks to the Club Room, we were able to get members the information they needed to profit very quickly. So, when it popped the next day, everyone was already on board. The Club Room has quickly become one of the favorite features of membership in the Oxford Communique. There isn't an experience like this anywhere else. And you get premier access added to your membership completely free of charge. That's on top of all the benefits we discussed today. Most are surprised to learn that a full price subscription to the Communique with all of today's promised benefits is only $249. That's it. As you've seen today, the money you could make from my special reports alone could pay for that subscription cost thousands of times over. But you won't even pay $249. As Bill and I discussed, we believe we're in one of the greatest wealth building times in history under Trump, and we want you to be part of it. We refuse to let price be a barrier to entry. That's why I'm making the risk-free trial of the Communique available to you for only $49. That's less than $1 per week. Better yet, you'll also get my ironclad 365-day 100% money-back guarantee with your Communique subscription. If for any reason you're not fully satisfied, simply send the book back and you'll get a full refund of your subscription fee, no questions asked. Plus, you can keep everything else that you've received along the way except for your copy of Confronting the Presidents. Why am I making this bold guarantee? Because I know once you join, you'll love it. We have hundreds of thousands of members, including Bill. Some of our most successful subscribers have sent us their stories, like Irvin Upshaw. He's been with us for 2 decades and saw 200-fold growth to his portfolio. He called the Oxford Club his best investment ever. Super Bowl winner Van McElroy, an Oxford Club member, recently wrote, "You can trust what they do." So I'd encourage anyone out there, especially my old NFL guys, to come along for the ride. It's a good ride. And we have some great stories from small investors too, like Liam Rogers. He started with just $1,000 but grew it to $20,000 in 3 years. And our members come from a wide range of financial backgrounds. Some are regular folks with only $10,000 or so to invest, while others are multimillionaires. But no matter what your investing level, the key is taking control of your finances and growing that money now. Now, with Trump back in office and the perfect conditions forming for a new economic boom, I want to help you achieve similar success. And I'm confident we will help you down that road today. To sum it all up, we want you to be happy. We want you to make a lot of money and achieve your version of the American dream. And there's no doubt you will. All you have to do is get started and click the button below that says, "Yes, I want the American dream." Or we have a fantastic concierge team at company headquarters. If you'd like to start your subscription right now by ordering over the phone, simply call them right now at 866-415-8492 or 443-353-4234. We have member representatives available 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. We're at your beck and call. Should you have any questions, just give us a call at 866-415-8492 or 443-353-4234, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We're fully dedicated to making sure your subscription runs smoothly, so right now you have two choices. Keep doing the same old things and struggle to get ahead, or take us up on this no-brainer offer today and start taking leaps and bounds toward financial freedom. Your life can change for the better in an instant. I've given you 6 Trump trades in total to get you started. From there, you'll get my top play each month and get all the free gifts we've talked about today. The button below will take you to a secure page where you can review everything before placing your order.
I have been an Alex Green subscriber for more than 2 decades, so I hope you join me. This is Bill O'Reilly in New York.
And I'm Alexander Green. I look forward to welcoming you as the newest member of the Oxford Club and helping you achieve your American dream. Thanks for being with us.